Joe DiMaggio, the Yankee Clipper, swung for the fences, but had a whole different ballpark when he pitched his own theory about Marilyn Monroe's headline-grabbing finale. Buckle up, folks, because we're going to take a swing at the heart of Hollywood's golden days, where the glow wasn't just from the studio lights. Picture this. It's the early 50s, DiMaggio's hanging up his cleats, and along comes Monroe, lighting up the silver screen brighter than a ballpark on a night game. Joe, thinking she's out of his league, gets a surprise curveball when Marilyn decides he's not just another player in pinstripes. They sprint to the altar in 1954, but a lot more was to come. Mr. Clean-Cut Image himself, DiMaggio, was batting 1,000 in public but striking out behind closed doors. Cue the infamous skirt scene, and Joe wasn't cheering. Fast forward through some marital issues, and we've got a split before the season was out. And then, of course, you have Marilyn's untimely demise and Joe's theories that there was something more to the tragedy. Facts First presents Joe DiMaggio revealed Marilyn Monroe's true cause of death. A Fateful Introduction. The story of DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe is woven with the threads of fame, passion, and tragedy. Their paths crossed when DiMaggio, fresh from retirement from baseball, expressed a desire to meet the up-and-coming actress. Despite Monroe's initial hesitation, their first meeting in 1952 laid the foundation for a relationship that became the subject of intense media scrutiny. Monroe, who had been wary of DiMaggio's sports star persona, found herself surprised pleasantly by his demeanor. DiMaggio, on the other hand, was immediately taken with Monroe's charm and beauty. From courtship to marriage. Their courtship was a whirlwind, marked by the challenges of maintaining a relationship in the public eye. Monroe's career was taking off, and DiMaggio was adjusting to life off the field. They managed to keep their romance relatively private until their marriage in 1954. The wedding, a quick elopement, was besieged by fans and the press, signaling the intense public fascination with their union. This fascination continued to follow them throughout their marriage. The price of fame. As Monroe's star rose, the pressure on their marriage increased. DiMaggio, who had been a hero on the baseball diamond, found himself in unfamiliar territory as the spouse of a Hollywood icon. His conservative views clashed with Monroe's image as a sex symbol, and his discomfort with her fame became a source of tension. The flying skirt scene from the 7-Year Itch is perhaps the most emblematic moment of this tension. DiMaggio was reportedly furious over the public's reaction to Monroe's performance, revealing the cracks in their relationship. The Tug of War. DiMaggio's desire for a traditional wife and Monroe's ambition to be more than a Hollywood stereotype were at odds. DiMaggio wanted a quiet family life, while Monroe was not ready to step away from the spotlight. This tug of war between their desires created an environment ripe for conflict. The breaking point. The marriage reached its breaking point quickly. The public fights, the jealousy, and the relentless media attention took their toll. Monroe's filing for divorce, citing mental cruelty, was a public admission of the private turmoil that had characterized their short-lived marriage. Aftermath. In the aftermath of their separation, both DiMaggio and Monroe reflected on what had gone wrong. DiMaggio, ever the private man, retreated from the public discussion of his personal life, while Monroe's struggles became more public. The end of their marriage didn't mark the end of their story, however. DiMaggio's continued devotion to Monroe, even after her death, suggested a complexity to their relationship that went beyond the typical Hollywood romance narrative. Unwavering Devotion. Despite the tumultuous end to their marriage, DiMaggio's devotion to Monroe remained steadfast. After Monroe's death, DiMaggio took charge of her funeral arrangements, barring Hollywood's elite, and ensuring the ceremony was dignified and private. For years, he had fresh roses delivered to her resting place twice a week, a silent yet powerful display of his enduring affection. The quest for truth. DiMaggio's silence on Monroe's death was almost deafening. He never publicly endorsed the theory that Monroe's death was a suicide, and his skepticism fueled speculation about the true cause of her untimely demise. His protectiveness over Monroe's legacy and his quest for the truth about her death added a layer of mystery to an already enigmatic relationship. Lingering doubts. People close to him knew that Joe harbored deep-seated doubts about the official narrative of Monroe's passing. He couldn't reconcile the Monroe he knew with the idea that she had taken her own life. His suspicions pointed towards the murky waters of her later life, her connections with powerful men, her knowledge of whispered secrets, and her often troubled personal life. He wondered if her death was entangled with her liaisons, which included rumored affairs with high-profile figures. DiMaggio's reticence to accept the verdict of suicide hinted at a web of relationships that Monroe navigated, relationships that may have had a hand in her demise. While his beliefs remain unproven, they added a poignant layer to the enduring puzzle of Monroe's death. The weight of public life. Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe's relationship unfolded under the glare of the spotlight. The marriage was a high-wire act performed without a net, and each step was scrutinized by an audience hungry for both their success and their failure. The pressures of this public existence magnified their personal struggles, DiMaggio's jealousy, Monroe's search for validation, and their mutual quest for an identity beyond the headlines. Their story is a tale of how the shimmering facade of celebrity can mask the reality of personal anguish. The more adored you are by the masses, the more isolated you can become. The romance of Joe and Marilyn was a study in contrasts, a juxtaposition of the private and the public, the intimate and the universal. Their love story was one of intense passion played out against a backdrop of equally intense conflict. It was a relationship that straddled glittering fame and profound solitude, marked by moments of shared triumph and personal tragedy. The complexity of connection. Joe and Marilyn's story continues to captivate us because it offers a window into the complex nature of human connection, especially under that microscope of fame. They were icons of their time, and they grappled with issues that resonate on a deeply human level: the search for love, the need for understanding, and the desire for peace. Their story is a tapestry of light and shadow, reminder that even the lives of the most celebrated figures are woven with threads of universal human experience. Reflecting on the relationship, we're confronted with timeless lessons about the nature of love and the inevitability of loss. It's a narrative that speaks to the heart of what it means to navigate life in love. The resilience of the human spirit. Joe and Marilyn's legacy transcends the glamour and the scandal, reaching into the realm of resilience. Their journey together had challenges, but also demonstrated the capacity for growth, for forgiveness, and for a deep, abiding connection that outlasted their time together. Now it's time to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the relationship between Joe and Marilyn? And do you think Joe is onto something when he questions the nature of Marilyn's death? Let us know in the comments section below.